We are live, and good evening, and welcome to the Medium channel, where we bring you the spirituality behind the message. And tonight, I'm more than thrilled to have Sharita Star as our very special guest. And just to give you a little bit of background, we're in a great awakening. This channel's here to help us all through this awakening process. And I get a lot of stuff intuitively, and excuse me, I'm going to turn the pings off, intuitively into my channel. But this is just such an important time. And we've never seen anything like it. In fact, the country hasn't seen anything like it since its inception in 1776. And it affects us all personally. It affects us as a collective, and it really affects the trajectory of this awakening period. So it's my due diligence to bring on an expert, and Sharita is that expert. She's been studying this phenomena for years. She's amongst the best astrologers, if not the best astrologer that I know. She's a numerologist. She knows Chaldean numerology, lexicograms. So without further ado, let's welcome Sharita. Hello and welcome.
Thank you so much, Adam. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here on the Medium channel. And thank you so much for taking the time to invite me here this evening. And a pleasure, a pleasure. I love what you're doing with this channel. It's great because we need to remain empowered right now. That is my mission in these times with the work that I do. And I won't, sugarcoat it with rainbows and unicorns, as we say, because these are challenged times. They're a little uncertain, as we know as well. Yet what we can absolutely be certain of is our own empowerment. So that's where we all come together, and we come together with our spiritual communities, or, the groups of people that are in our like-mindedness. And it's not really about conspiracy theories and all these types of things. We understand what energy is doing. And the fact is, you all have free will to do with that energy what you wish. That's up to you. And if anybody's really telling you what to do with your free will, then that's like another whole topic for another show, I'm sure. But my work is about empowerment and just spreading awareness and being completely neutral and discerning as we work with that energy. Because that's really important to me when we're looking at anything on a collective level. It has to be from a place of neutrality. There is no political sides. There is no any side of anything at this point. It is just, what's the energy up to? What are these cycles doing? And that's what I intensely study with astrology and numerology. As I always teach people to never compromise living consciously. We're here to live consciously in these times. Again, as Adam said in the very beginning, this is a great awakening. We have never, as far as any of us like currently living in the human body that we're existing in, we've never seen any times like this ever. And we probably won't again in this particular lifetime. So these are very, very pivotal moments. And what is pivotal in America right now is we are entering and just beginning to touch base with it. It's a cycle that is known as a Pluto return. Now, a human being cannot have such a thing. We have things called Saturn returns, and we may have a Uranus return if we live that long, but human beings do not live long enough to have such a thing as a Pluto return. So the only things that entities and establishments that can do such a thing is something like a country. So America is about to have, for the next 3 years, almost 4 years, it's about to experience what we kind of titled this whole thing. It's a near-death experience from this process of what will happen over the course of the next 3 to 4 years, called the Pluto return. So in astrology, and I know Adam has the links to different articles that I've already composed and written, and some actually still need to be finished because I've had my own interesting experiences this year that have taken me away from my work a little bit. But the nuts and bolts of things are there to get started. And what will be most intensely happening, which is what we wanted to cover tonight, as how this will be really intensely affecting the country moving into the early part of 2022. But we won't be done with the Pluto return in America until technically 2024 is when it's finally like settled. Eased off. The whole thing is totally chilled out by then. And then we're going to be in a whole brand new cycle of beginnings as a nation at that time. It's a near-death experience coming that is going to enter this nation into rebirth. And that is what Pluto does as a planet. He's a very, and I if you have been ever following along in the the false news or the real news or whatever news you want to call it these days, there were some articles and I think it was on like mainstream things. It was a few years ago. I forget how long ago it was, but where they said, "Oh, Pluto's not a planet anymore," and they demoted him and they did all this fun stuff. And any astrologer just sort of chuckled at all of those things, and we're like, no. Pluto, as small as he is, and he is the smallest planet that we look at, he's the most kind of powerful. And it's because of his orbit. He's the one that, he's got the elliptical orbit and he's all the way out in the universe. Like he's the furthest one out, right? And how we look at how everything's spinning around in our galaxy here. And what we do looking at above and all the positioning of all the other planets, and everybody goes in, and then, the sun's in the center and everybody else is doing their thing. So Pluto takes years to get all, he can take, he varies from sign to sign because of his elliptical orbit. So sometimes he's in a sign for 14 years, and depending on where he is on that curve he's not a circle like the rest of them. He's on a curve. So wherever he is on the curve, he may take up to 20 years to get through one particular zodiac sign. So that's a long time. and what will be happening even after America gets through this Pluto return energy, the area of life that it's affecting, Pluto is still going to be in this area of the life for the country for like a good another 15 to 20 years. So it's intense what's going to be happening here. So when we say return in astrology, what that means is, and again, this is all in the article link that Adam will direct you to, that is on my website. And you take the country's chart. So we were born on July 4th, 1776. So that's always our constant. We just take that chart and we cast the math for that. So where every planet was in positioning that day casts what we know as a natal birth chart. And then what we do at any moment in time moving forward from that point of initiation. So this can be done for a business, that can be done for a country, and this is what we do for humans when we are looking at our current forecast, is that we take that natal point, that moment of initiation, and we always use that as the constant map. And then any moment in time, as everything is moving in procession in the universe, we put another chart on the outside of it, and then we can see how the current planets are talking to the core planets and the center planets of, again, the country, a business, the universe, it is the universe talking overall, or any human being. So this is how we forecast in astrology. And then we're going to also touch base on numerology cycles and where the nation is as well in a very intense healing year. This is a healing year for America from our numerological current personal year cycle as well. It's another whole story for another, probably we could talk about that in a whole nother YouTube. But it ties in very well with what is happening and beginning to formulate during this current personal year for the nation that started this past July, on July 4th, and will conclude on July 4th of 2022. And that's our current 16/7 personal year as a nation. But what will happen is the natal Pluto is going to get a return. It's going to get what we call the first hit of a return during this current 16-7 personal year as a nation. And that's going to be coming up in, well, it'll span from February to early March of 2022, with the exact return happening over the dates of the 20th through the 22nd of February 2022. And what happens is the Pluto now, in the here and the now, in February of 22, is going to come all the way back in that outside wheel that we're looking at, that constant of America in that map. It's going to come back to the natal point of our natal Pluto, America's natal Pluto. So this is an intense moment. And anytime planets come back to the natal point of when they were initiated, it's going to cause some triggering. And depending on the planet, a Saturn return will happen for a human. It's a common thing in astrology. If you're an astrology follower, Saturn returns happen for humans about 28 to 30 years of age, and then you'll have a second one about 58 to 60, and if you do live to be about 90, you're going to get a third one in your lifetime. But that's a human, and that Saturn takes 28 to 30 years to get all the way around the zodiac, to go through, visit all 12 signs. And again, Pluto varies because he takes 14 to 20 years to get through one zodiac sign. So it takes him, 100, it's good. I forget the exact, it's 244 years or something like that. It has taken him to get all the way around the country's chart. So he's touched upon every area in this country's chart once, only once, because we're a young nation, right? I always say America's like a teenager, in comparison to the rest of the world. We're very young as a nation. We're not, old and established. We're like, we're like kids. Got, kind of almost coming out of puberty, really. But, but what America is going to be doing as well in this Pluto return is that it's really going to level up in a sense of maturity. Because when you have a near-death experience, you kind of level up in maturity a little bit. And that's going to be a very strong thing that we're going to be watching in these next 3 to 4 years in America. And I get a little serious because depending on how prepared you are for this, on a soul level, it's going to be hard to watch some things because it is the people who are not prepared that will be the most grief stricken and the most just kind of, oh my God, well, what happened? How did that happen? And so this is where the warriors are going to need to rise. And I've got my deck this evening, and I know Adam does a lot of things with many different decks of cards. One of them that I work with is the Linda Goodman's star cards. And this is the degree point mathematically that our country's natal Pluto is. It's at 27 degrees. So this is the image for the 27. And I want you to just kind of I'm going to get that off the shiny light. This is called the scepter. So anytime you're looking at 27 degrees energy, or 27, if you're born to the 27th of the month, this would apply to you. If you're in a 27 personal year cycle, this would apply to you. If you have any 27 degree points in your natal chart, this would apply. So for America, this applies to our natal Pluto. 27 degrees. It's the scepter. It's the torch carrier. I call this like Lady Liberty standing in New York Harbor energy. That's what this energy is. It's never meant to listen to opposition. It's never meant to get involved in too much aggression. It's never meant to fight with any intensity that's thrown at it. It's meant to stand up courageously and be the warrior. Now, we all know, A warrior gets what it wants, but it never uses violence to do it. And that's the key to get through this cycle of this Pluto return for America, is not to give in to that. It has to be about rising up like Lady Liberty in New York Harbor, and believing that that is how this can be, this near-death experience can really work most powerfully in its ability to allow this nation to become reborn. Now, again, in the article, you're going to have so many details about everything I'm talking about tonight beyond what I can say, because I know we want to keep this to a limited time. You got all the math, my math geeking. I'm a math geek, and so I geek out on math all the time. So you can read how I write everything about the details about what this energy does. But what I wanted to talk about is the area of the life for this nation that this happens in, the area of the country's, where is it affecting it? Is it our relationships? Is it our wealth? Is it our work sections? Is it, our family life? Is it our children? That it affects what we have. It affects our values. It affects our finances. It affects our sense of security and just how we feel stable. All of that as a country is going to become a little bit disrupted and a little bit upset. But if you're going to stand in your truth, like Lady Liberty in New York Harbor, you're going to be just fine. That's what Americans need to do. This is so important for America. Put on your Lady Liberty crown and raise your torch, because that is how this is going to happen to your seamless ability to thrive. If you want to be in survival mode, that's not going to work very well. And that's just my personal opinion. You can't whine. There's no complaining. There's no hating other people. There's no polarity. Even though there's all of these things in this circular, there's all these things circulating in the collective right now. And that's beyond America. It's global. Everybody's become divided. They want you to pick a side. They want you to argue with everyone else. And that's the energy that has been created. But that's not the energy that we need to surrender to. That doesn't have to happen. It's time to raise our torches and stand. So the first hit of this we talked was, and again, so you're going to watch the country's finances, the country's security, the country's possessions. We say your possessions, it's your tangible, it's your, Adam is always talking about the 3D world, it's your 3D, it's your 3D things you touch and taste and feel. And, oh, I have this, I feel great because I have this, I have this. And it's like, if I don't have this, I don't feel right. I don't feel stable. I don't feel secure. And it's almost like that carpet and the rug is bloop, out from under people. And so that's going to be happening in a very strong way. So we need to stand together and stand in a way that, if you have a way to support people, no matter what it is that you do, whether you're the one who has the extra money, or you're the one who has the wisdom, or you're the one who is the healer, or whatever your warrior talent is, it's going to come in really good handy in these next 3 years to get through what we're going to watch collectively, what the world will watch collectively as a nation, and just what America is going to personally experience. So as these direct hits, we call them direct hits, happen, we got the first one that will be in February. It actually begins February 3rd. It exacts the 22nd through the 22nd of February. So that's going to be like the intense moment of it. It's like right on top of that natal Pluto. And of course, another topic for another day. America's Pluto is retrograde when we were established in 1776 as well. So it's already a retrograded planet in the nation's chart. So that explains a few things too. But again, I don't want to get too lingo into astrology and confuse people. I just want to talk about what timeframes you really want to be well aware of how intense things can get. And then by the 29th, the 9th of March in 2022, the Pluto's going to move to 28 degrees of Capricorn, and then that'll ease off for a little bit. Then Pluto goes retrograde in the spring, and by the 22nd of June, it's going to come back again. So it comes back to meet that 27-degree point. The exactitude of that will be July 9th through 11th of 2022, just after we enter our 17-8 personal year as a country. So we're going to switch personal year cycles by next summer as a nation. That's another whole thing. Adam has the links to that as well. Not to that year, because that's not written yet, but our 16-7 Healing America from Within year will have completed that mission. And then we're going to go into reaping a harvest of some kind. So that's going to be in connectivity the most to what the country's been doing since 2015. Again, that article has all those details because I link back to every year I've written these articles about the current personal year cycle of America. I've been studying this for quite some time, but keeping an eye on my own country, you know, as well as the rest of the world. And then that exact in the summer is going to lift by August 4th. And we're still going to be feeling it the whole time, but these are the most intense moments that we've got happening. Then we move along into the fall. We get into the very latter part of the fall, and then Pluto has gone direct by that point in the next fall. By the 10th of December, this same the same intensity formulates again. 10th of December 22. And it exacts the 27th through the 29th of December of 2022. And then it doesn't ease off until the 11th of January 2023. Now, there's, if anybody remembers what happened under Mars retrograde last fall, we will also be in a Mars retrograde next. It starts clipping the tail end of October and carries us over into January 2023. So we're going to be under a Mars retrograde that entire time that we've got that third hit, Pluto going direct, returning over that natal point again in the country's chart via current transit. Then we tootle into 2023. And we've got one more direct one, and Pluto will be retrograde once more for this one. And because, again, he's moved a little forward this time, so he's never going to come back to the exact point, but he gets real close. So by the 19th of December in 2023, under retrograde, he's going to clip back to that 27-degree point of Capricorn one more time. He doesn't quite make it because he turns around retrograde on the 10th of October. And then by the 1st of November, he goes back to 28 degrees of Capricorn, and then we ease off again. And then he really never gets back to 27 degrees of Capricorn. None of us will ever see that in our lifetime. Let's put it that way. Perhaps the country will experience a second Pluto return in another 240 something years, but we'll be in different human suits by that point in the venture. So those are the 4 direct hits. That's the most intense times in these next, going to be 3 years. And there's one more, like it gets a little closer as we move into 2024. And by that point in the summer of 2024, the nation enters a brand new 9-year span of time. And that's something that, again, the numerology does. We're in a 7 personal year as a nation right now, as we're circulating in current time. By next summer, we move into our 8 personal year as a nation. By the summer of 23, we will enter our 9 personal year as a nation. So that last one there that will happen September of 2023 will be super intense of what's going on at that time, because we're in a 9-year, in a 9-month of September 23, and it's going to be interesting. So this is a long road. This is no easy fix. And again, Pluto being the planet of transformation, regeneration, change, death, rebirth. It's why we call it a near-death experience. He's the planet that lets everything come to a sense of completion so that there's new beginnings and new energy pulling out. We are going into, again, it's intense times, and this connects the most to the country's finances, stability, sense of security, and just overall financial comfort zone. Let's put that in another mild way of saying it. So you're going to watch a lot of things be a little rocky in these areas, as if there's resistance to change, that's where you're going to watch all this conflict happening. But again, you're going to stand up like this, right? You're going to get your torch out and you're going to be Lady Liberty in New York Harbor. That's how this warrior energy is going to rise up and do what it needs to. This is what every American is going to have to do to get through this without thinking their brain cells are going to explode. And I think many people right now, their brain cells are already exploding. These are challenged times. This is not an easy time to be, on our planet, which is why staying empowered for this is why we watch the amazing part of what's going to be happening here, because what needs to change and needs to die has to go, because it's no longer stable. And I don't think there's any question. If you look around America, we've got a lot of things that are not going too well. And I know Adam wanted to touch base as well. So we're going to get some preview of how this begins to really intensify by February of 2022. And the first alignment, first return point happens, is we have 2 major cycles of reflection, retrogrades, inner planet retrogrades coming in the latter part of this year to finish up 21. We're still in 21, to finish up 21. And then to open up 22, we're under a cycle called Venus retrograde. Well, guess where she's retrograding? She stations to turn retrograde on top of the country's natal Pluto retrograde on December 19th. So that's going to be very telling of what's happening now with a Venus retrograde. And this is something we're all, most of you know, healer, the marvelous healer, Heather Astara. She is, we've been doing our workshops all throughout the year. It's Heather and Adam and I are on, I think it's a week from tonight. We're doing a prepare you for the finale of 2021 and kind of moving you a little bit into 22, but we have eclipse season coming and this Venus retrograde coming. Very intense times. Now, when Venus retrograde, she's about money. She's also about finances. She's about relationships. She's about understanding, compassion. She's about beauty. She's about the earth and pleasures and harmony and balance. So as she retrogrades in Capricorn, she is going to be a little off her course, a little bit, just a little bit. So she's going to start off stationed, and when a planet is stationed, that means it doesn't move for a little while. So she starts off on the 19th of December, stationed on top of the country's natal Pluto. So that's going to be like a little preview of this return, Pluto returns coming attractions. Then she's going to take her time. Then she's going to ease off, and she keeps backtracking in Capricorn until the 29th of January of 23. So she's going to open us up into 23 under retrograde. She's also in charge of 2022 because she's the ruler of a 6 universal year. So that's going to make the ride a little rocky entering 22 as well. It's not going to be like this hoo-ha, Happy New Year, and everybody's all excited. And you know how Happy New Year's are, right? This year is going to be a lot different, crossing the threshold from 21 to 22. So we're just going to kind of be a little more. I have a friend from Romania, and he always says piano, 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 piano. It's going to be a very piano, piano moving into 22. Silent listen time. That's one of my favorite things to tell people. Silent listen time, observer, discernment, all of it. Now, what'll also happen by mid-January of 23 is that, our buddy Mercury, y'all know Mercury, when he goes retrograde, that just happened back in October. He starts off retrograding in Aquarius on the 14th of January, and then he's going to tootle back. By the time Venus is turning around, he's going to be on top of that natal Pluto of America at 27 degrees as she turns direct. On the 29th of January, Mercury is going to be on top of the country's natal Pluto at that moment. And then he's going to ease off a little bit to the 24th degree of Capricorn. He turns around February 3rd. And then the Pluto is going to be right there, starting the Pluto return for America next February. And there's a lot of things coming to an end in this country by next February, because we loop in time every 9 years in these personal year cycles. 1 to 9, we just keep circulating 1 to 9. Every 9 years, we're in another 9-year chapter, as I call it. We spin in time in 9. So we do it every 9 years. We do it every 9 months. We do it 3 times, 3 9-day cycles within a given month. So there's always 3 numbers in our numerological current forecast. So the country next February will be in a month of endings. So you're going to watch as this Pluto return starts to really get, whoa, bang up, hit, and it's going. We're in a month of endings in this healing year in America. So when we turn into March, we're moving into a sense of new beginnings right away under the healing process. So we're going to, this winter is intense, folks. It's just intense. We're going to be watching a lot of grief. I've said that before in other interviews. This is a very sensitive year for the nation. This is our current personal year. And Adam talks about this if you do his tarot time with him. And I think this card, actually, the Tower card came up this week when we did tarot time. But this is the country's like full year under the 16/7 personal year cycle. So this is the Tower. A Chaldean numerology, by the way, for anybody out there who's into tarot, Chaldean numerology and the Chaldean karmic mysteries that we discuss and what I teach and consult with, they are based on the major arcana of the tarot. They're loosely translated in meaning. So they're similar. They're not exactitude, but they loosely translate. So this year for the country is quintessential to take a silent listen as well as an American. You know, we're meant to be quieter this year. We're meant to be observant. We're not meant to be, you know, out there and doing, not that you're not meant to be out there and doing, but we're meant to be really namaste zen within, you know, namaste at home. And I don't mean that you need to be quarantined and locked down. I just mean you need to be within, you know, that there's a difference. It's not a forced thing. It's a choice to choose to listen in life, you know. And the other thing I'm going to talk about is we have the eclipses, where we have eclipses, and we have 2 eclipses coming, which are also going to activate a little bit with what's cooking with this formulating Pluto return. And there's a holding pattern of all of our new and full moons that it's just started with our full moon last month in Aries. Everything for the next 6 months, every full moon, including this upcoming, there's a lunar eclipse, the 19th of November. They're all locking in 27 degrees. So guess what? That math is all going to connect every month, somehow, some way, to this country's natal Pluto as well. So the eclipse coming, it's going to be in Taurus on the 19th of November. This is going to be in the country's, what we call the 6th house of astrology. These are what, if you follow me, I write my lunarscopes. You will find all sorts of tidbits of information. These come out bi-monthly. These are things that I write on every new and full moon. And I explain all the energy mathematically about the moon and what's cooking. But for the country, this eclipse is kicking off, and lunar eclipses on a full moon. So they're about a 6-month cycle of healing. And this, I know that this, and I'm not the astronomer, I don't do all that part of it. I just do the mathematical energy discernment. But I know that this eclipse is actually super, it's like the longest eclipse in like 100 years or something. Like the time it's going to take to complete itself is like completely long and kind of drawn out, but that doesn't surprise me at this point to hear that. But for the country, this eclipse hits our service, how we serve as a nation. So it deals with the workforce, it deals with the healthcare system, it deals with our lifestyle, it deals with our routines, our habits, what we do as a collective nation. So that's all changing for America. There's this eclipse is going to peel away all the stuff you don't need to do in any of those areas anymore. It's going to take it all away. It wants to heal everything. It wants to clean all that up, tidy all this stuff up. And, I don't think I need to tell anybody that it looks like our healthcare system is in some major trouble. It's extremely stressed out right now. And I don't think that situation is going to get any better. Especially this eclipse is going to it's going to kind of bop it up a little bit, like as Emerald says, it's going to kick it up a few more notches. And I don't think it's just a few. I think it's like multitudes of notches. So we really need to be prepared to watch what happens with all of that and what happens with the workforce and all of these things. The lifestyle of this country is not going to stay the way it is right now. It will not. It will not do that. So again, all this mathematical stuff is going to be happening at this 27 degree mark as well. So this is warrior energy again. Everything that we're healing in this country, it takes warriors to do it. Then we've got these new moons coming in at another holding pattern for 5 months. And we just had a new moon on the 4th of November in Scorpio. And that started the pattern of everything happening. And let me see. I just want to make sure I get this so you can see the card. This is at the 12 degree mark. So all the new moons, starting with the one last week on November 4th in Scorpio, all align at the 12th degree of the sign. So the pairing eclipse to the 19th of November is going to be on December 4th at 12 degrees of Scorpio. Now, why is that so significant? Well, because 12 degrees of Scorpio is the nation's ascendant. It's the beginning of the nation's chart. This number represents being the kneeling, submissive student. You have to be reachable and teachable. America has to become reachable and teachable. If we do not become reachable and teachable, meaning entitlement attitudes, know-it-all attitudes, all that kind of stuff is gone. If you hold that space energetically, this eclipse won't serve you well, and neither will the next 5 months, especially. You got to be willing to learn. If you're willing to learn, you're willing to work with this energy, and you will have a thriving time with it because it's going to be accelerating for you. But for the nation, a solar eclipse is a new moon, and that pulls energy in. It pulls in new and you know, it's supposed to be positive and light and vibes and all this good stuff. That is hitting the exact ascendant of the chart. And if you, again, look back at that Pluto return article, you'll see I have pictures of the chart, of the nation's chart in there. And if you don't read astrology, don't look at the charts because it will just confuse you. I have it there for people who are interested in looking at all of that, because my audience varies from people who know a lot about astrology to people who don't know anything. And I've got to kind of meet everybody in the middle to explain it, which I hope I'm doing well this evening for everybody. So when you have an ascendant at 12 degrees and you have a solar eclipse hitting it, on exactitude, you're going to have a powerful new approach to life. And so America, from this eclipse coming up on the 4th of December, is being asked collectively, you have to do things differently. You've got to take on everything differently in your life. Your first impression, your first instinct, and the world at large is going to notice 6 months moving, at least 6 months moving past the 4th of December into almost midway of 22. The world is going to start to go, oh, wow, America's a little different. Wow, they don't look the same. I mean, they're not doing things the way they used to. They don't appear the same way anymore. Their whole the way they're doing everything it's a little different than what we're used to looking at or what we're used to observing. So really, we're really going to be watching this come full circle. There's so much energy, like so directly affecting this country's chart coming up in these next 6 months. It makes my head spin, like if this was a person, I'd be like, wow, okay. You got to really like help people, that's my job. I'm here to make people feel empowered, and help them attain their empowerment. But this is a lot of stuff happening at one in a very short period of time when they got a bang, bang, bangs going on for the country. So this is, it's a healing time, but it's a very strong educational, learning, willing to be taught time. I can't stress that enough. So I know, Adam, I kind of went over a little bit, but does that captivate what we wanted to accomplish this evening?
That was more than awesome. I was just thinking in my mind, and I don't know if I'm exactly accurate, but I believe the country was born when Mercury was also retrograde.
You got that right. And now, we need to do a show just about that, because I would love to talk about that at another whole level.
Another time. And
because it fascinates me that they did that, because our founding fathers were supposedly astrologers. And I just go, why did you initiate the country under Mercury retrograde? But it explains a lot, I think. It does explain a lot about the energy of the country. I get it. It does make sense. So.
We can excuse them for not knowing that Pluto even existed, but Mercury.
Pretty much. They had no idea about that Pluto being retrograde at the time. You're absolutely right. They didn't know about Pluto back then. So that's how this all showed up. It's like, America, we're such a, we're young. I don't want to say we're naive, but we're a little naive. We're a powerful country, but we've got a lot to learn. That 12-degree ascendant always asks this country to be willing to learn. We don't know everything, so we can't be too boastful. We can't be too entitled as a country, because that doesn't work. So I hope that this eclipse helps chill that out a little bit. Because we really need to calm that down so that we can, stop putting ourselves in sacrificial and victimized situations, because we don't need to be doing that. It's not necessary anymore. So I can't see you, so I don't know what you're doing. I only see me. I don't know if you've got me on. Are we on split screen or there?
Yeah, now just
now I can see you.
I'm typing in your website one more time. Let me do that. and then I'll be right with you.
Take your time. Oh, we could keep, you know me, I can I could fill up the, what, this is what I like to know. This is what I like looking forward to is, once we get through this healing year as a nation, next summer, we're going to move into this. This is our personal year cycle next summer. This is the star year. It's the star of the Magi. So if you've done your soul work this year, moving the summer of 22 to 23 for the country is going to be rewarding. But if you didn't do the healing work here, it won't show up here. The rewards won't show up. So if we don't heal now and the time we have until next summer, this won't come in the best harvest that it really should. So that's just something to keep in mind, that this is a very rewarding year coming for this country. So that's up to the free will. Do with it what you want. And of course, it's your soul contract, no one else's. That's what I always say too. Everyone's contracted at this time, I think, to do what they need to be doing in this great awakening, because it is a great awakening happening.
And of course, the medium channel is here to assist you through that awakening.
Absolutely.
And such amazing teachers as Sharita Star. And also 1111 is coming up, which is an energetic portal. So we're going to be doing a light code activation and an energy activation right here on the medium channel at 7 o'clock. For those of you that have done my guided channeling meditation and my activations, that it's pretty powerful stuff. So we're going to really step into that.
Last one, the last one I did with you, oh my God, that, like, boy, does you, yeah. And if you're first time listening to this, for any, I know you have like a lot of people who keep returning, but if anybody out there is first time listener, you have to go back and do all these energy transmissions, because Adam does the most amazing work. You feel so like super whoa after doing them. It's amazing. It's so necessary at this time to keep our bodies as healthy, cleared, and grounded as possible. And that's what that work does. It's so cool.
Yes, we work with very high vibrational guides.
It's high vibrations. It's, what it is, Adam. I'm just gonna say, you're putting everybody's gonna, like, you're gonna feel like you got your torch high when you get out of Adam's transmissions.
Yes.
That's it.
Of course, I'm the conduit, so my job is to open up. But of course, to do these, I have to take very good care of my physical system, because as these energies come in, they accelerate the nervous system, they accelerate the cellular processes. Yeah. But as I lead the meditation, we start to become one, and then they start to work with your energies also. So that's how it works. So everybody that sits in is part of it. So it's not just me doing the work, like we're all kind of in some kind of a soul agreement doing this work together.
Yeah.
And then there's thousands of other channels doing the same thing. And you can bet 1111, a lot of people are going to be channeling energy. It's going to be really, really super powerful.
I look forward to that this Thursday.
So it's Thursday.
I have to travel somewhere. I have traveled to a city I'm not that fond of. So I'll be back for that in the evening. So I'm going to be good, clear all anything that might have gotten attached to me with me unknowingly.
So anyway, that was really, really amazing. And of course, what happens in the USA happens in the world, and that's also written into the natal chart of the USA. So
where we do, I mean, and that's very true, because it's the 12th degree of Sag is our approach to everything. We are such a giving, generous country. We are so concerned about the world, and we're a Cancer nation. We're born July 4th. That's a Cancer energy, Cancer sun sign. We're nurturing. We try to nourish everybody. We want to, look at us. We take care of everybody. This country wants to take care of everybody. That's what we do. Cancers just love everybody. Let me take care of you like family, like take you in, my clan. And then we're a 4 as a karmic path as a nation, which is all about humanity, and it is about freedom and individuality. So that's what we value as well as a nation. So that's what we are. I mean, we are who we are. And it's why we became what we became, and the mark that we've made in this world as young and as teenager as we kind of are still, but in comparison to, other more established nations that have been around for hundreds of years versus a couple. And but America's going to mature a lot in these next 3 years. I'll tell you that. We're putting our big girl and boy pants on as a country. That's about what we're up to. So.
Certainly, and all of this is being challenged right now by whatever you want to call it. So
yes, there's a little bit of resistance in the courts, as they say, but that's okay.
So it's part of the growing up, teenage.
I'm sorry, but that natal Pluto, it will never happen. This is that Lady Liberty standing in New York Harbor. I was like, she could come to life for all I could see, and I could just see her running around. That's how I visualize it. We're all our own Lady Liberty right now.
Amazing. So anyway, I guess it's time to wrap it up. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'll write in the comments as this turns into a video, all the links to Sharita, and you can go up the thread. I've linked her website at least 3 or 4 times in her blog post. So it's all there. Get a personal forecast from Sharita. What she's sharing with us is a general universal effect, but depending on your astrology and your numerology, it's going to affect you all in very individual ways. So that's what she's here for. And of course, we are here to help you through the awakening, because it's a great thing. It's a beautiful time. But when there's an awakening, there's always challenges, because it's hard to just let go of the old to embrace the new. Yeah. So, it's just human nature. It's our survival instinct. So that's why we teach here on the Medium channel how to be present, how to talk to spirit, how to access your energy and your higher self, and why we have guests like Sharita and then Heather Istara. Also, we don't have a date for her, but she'll be doing her healing meditation at some point, either this month or the beginning of next month. So again, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all your listeners, or I should say listeners, watchers. This is a watcher, not a listener. Well, I guess you should be listening too, right? Listeners and watchers. But thank you, everyone. And, thank you for your willingness to understand, and always being reachable and teachable. And if you have any questions about what I've said, I love questions. They're my favorite things in the world. Please ask me a question if something didn't make any sense or it was confusing, because I know I throw a lot at you. So feel free to ask for clarification, because that's the only way we ever learn as well, is we have to ask the question. Raise your hand, put your torch up, and ask.
All right. I love that Lady Liberty. I love the star card in the tarot. 17 is just an awesome number.
Yes, it is.
16 is too, because, the structure has to fall first, a stronger structure and a new foundation to build.
Yep. It's just the cycles. It's just the way cycles go. And sometimes we're kind of in a messy cycle, and we've got to accept we're in a messy cycle, and we're in a messy cycle right now. So, but that doesn't mean we have to be a mess in the cycle. It's just, we got to know, I especially say so often with the 16 personal year for the country, or any time you're dealing with 16 energy, is you just have to know how to stay in the eye of the storm. It's a little tricky. That's tricky to do, but it's possible. But that takes the discernment, that takes the quietness, that takes being, doing the meditation, taking a silent listen, whatever it is you do to empower yourself. So that you have to practice whatever it is you do to ground your energy. And if you do that, you're making it through this with no problem. It's just, if you're going to get caught up in the hurricane, then, you know, that's not going to be as fun. That's all.
Stay in the eye. Yes.
Got to be the eye of the storm. Yeah.
And I just typed in eye because I was talking about somebody asked a question about the currency and how that's affected. Like, well, Pluto's in the second house, right? That's where
It's going to change the money somehow. I'm not the financial astrologer by any means, but I'll just leave it at this. The money in America, whether we switch into a different type of banking system, do we change the American dollar? There's something dramatically changing about the value of the money that we have, period. I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not here to give financial advice. But I do know that's what's happening in this country. So something's going to shift pretty significantly. It doesn't mean it's the end of it or anything like that. It just means it's going to change. It's going to go through this finalization process, and it's going to be a rebirth. Because, you know, the world is not coming to an end. The country is not coming to an end. There's none of that happening. It is just, it's shifting and it's changing very strongly. So that might be shocking for some people, depending, you know, what their perspective is on what they think normal is. And the old norm is not coming back. It's a new norm that we're moving into. That's how this is going to go.
Okie doke. I think it's time to wind on down, but that was beyond awesome. Okay. And you guys come back, watch this as a video, because there's a lot of information shared, a lot. So again, 11/11, you know, check out the transmission. I also have a video coming out that day at 11 a.m. about the true meaning of 11/11, of why it's such a powerful number, diving into numerology and tarot and things that have come channeled to me. So it's not exactly what people think, but there's a reason why 11/11 is a portal or a gateway to higher consciousness. I'm going to break that down also in a video, then do the channeling at night. So big day. It's also Veterans Day, so it's nice to honor those that served and everything.
Gratitude to the people who have served our country and sacrificed for our country.
So the liberty can still stand, and we can, you know, get through this Pluto return and stand in the harbor with our stars shining bright.
You're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
Beautiful. So I'm gonna end broadcast now. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Rita, and we'll see you at the next video.